free to ask. Just to recap, we're building a game for practice for funsies that is similar to one of those survivor games like Vampire Survivors, where uh, the character auto attacks and enemies spawn. I'll give you a quick demonstration here. Enemy chases after me, and I've got daggers that just throw wherever I'm pointing my mouse cursor, and they throw out automatically on their cooldown. Looks like my enemy died there, so he's all done. Um, let's go ahead and stop this. And so I think we need to spawn more enemies. And I think what I like to do is spawn enemies when the seconds change. So every like 1 second. Right now we're going to be spawning at a rate of one enemy per second. Obviously, we're going to allow for more enemies to get spawned at once when we get to things like higher difficulties, harder levels, stuff like that. But we're not there yet. We just want the bare bones mechanics kind of working. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to find my manager that I put the time tracker, my little time tracker here. All right, so I think I need a public delegate. Um, what was the word again? Oh yeah. No, that's right. Void. And I'm gonna say second increment. So pretty much, this is an event every time the seconds increment on the clock. I'm gonna make this event happen, and I'm gonna have all my my enemy spawner, which I haven't made yet, is gonna subscribe to this event. So when this event happens, it's going to spawn enemies without them having to be like strongly connected. So if I end up making like a level later that doesn't have a time clock for whatever reason, which I probably won't do, that doesn't make a lot of sense to me, but it's just safe to make things where they can be like removable components, because I do have some of my older games. If you remove one piece of the puzzle, man, the whole thing collapses. So then it gets hard to make like, well, I want this thing to exist in a different scenario. So it's just kind of a more um, robust way of designing it. And then now I'm going to need a public. If I could spell. Um, Static event second increment on second increment. All right. So when my seconds increment, should I call it seconds increment? I feel like that sounds better. On seconds increment, because it's the seconds. There's multiple seconds. Does that make sense to everybody? I don't know. Whatever. It makes sense to me. Um, so, um, I need to know if the seconds have increased from the last time. So, the display seconds is rounding down. What we got to do is we got to get, before we get here, we need to capture int previous seconds. And what I'm going to do is at the end of the update loop, I'm going to say that previous seconds equals display seconds. But before that happens, we're going to say if previous seconds is not equal to display seconds, then we are going to on seconds increment. And so now, every time our seconds goes up on that update loop, it's gonna call that function, and then they're gonna be set equal to each other at the very end, so then it won't call it the next time around. I could even probably set them equal to each other inside here, so that way it won't. Yeah, actually, I like that idea. And the autocomplete was suggesting it. I mean, it makes sense to me. So, guys, this is my son. If you've watched my streams before, you've probably seen him come online. He's just a baby. I love him very much. You might not be able to hear it right now, but he is purring because he loves the attention. He's just a sweet little baby that loves attention. Look at that. Look at that face. Do you guys want a better look at that face? Look at that. My God. It's too much. You know. It really is. Anyway. Let's see here. So now we're gonna need an enemy spawn. Sorry, I don't know why I'm so clear my throaty today. That's probably really annoying. You know what? I said I don't know, but it's probably my allergies. Okay, so let's create an empty object here. Enemy spawner. Add a space because this isn't code. It doesn't need that. Put this thing at 000. Oh yeah, that reminds me. Because what I want to do, we want the enemies to spawn around the player, but we want them to spawn outside of the camera range. So I'm going to attach the enemy spawner to our player, right? So that way, no matter where you go, it goes with you because the enemy spawner is now a child to the player. So you know, drag your problems around no matter where you walk in this level. Dudes are going to spawn. Now let's see. Enemies. Let's make an enemy spawn controller script. All right. All right. So I think what we need to do is I want to choose a spot on a radius around the player. And unfortunately, to my knowledge, there's no built-in method to get a like a random spot on a circle, but there is to get a random spot on the surface of a sphere. So what I would have to do is say, hey, give me a random point on this sphere, and then collapse the z-axis. I think that'll give me a point inside of a circle still. Well, maybe I will just, you know what, let's just spawn in a random spot for now, and then worry about fixing the distance later. You know, get it working in chunks, so to speak. So let's see here. We are going to need enemies to spawn, and that needs to be a variable. I'm going to make this a public list of game objects. And we'll go ahead and fill that in the inspector, and then so let's see here. I need to check if the so I need to subscribe this bad boy. So time tracker dot on seconds increment plus equals, and then I didn't make a void for spawning an enemy. We need to do that. Let's put a function in here. Spawn enemy. And I'm thinking maybe we put our game object enemy in here. Right, that makes sense. I may also want to send in the amount, like if I want to burst, like if I want to send 30 guys out, like at the start of say it's a minute, then we send 30 guys out, or whatever, something like that. Anyways, spawn, that's not what I want. Spawn enemy. Boom. What's wrong with that? No overload. Oh yeah, because I have to oh, you know what? I don't like my variables being uppercased. You can do whatever you want, obviously, but I don't prefer to do that. Enemies to spawn. We're just gonna spawn the 0th enemy. What? Cannot implicitly convert void to time tracker on seconds increment. What do I... You know, I think I need to do it like that. Yeah. Okay. Okay. So I'm gonna have to probably. Well, it doesn't really matter. So I'm gonna go instantiate enemies to spawn 0, and the parent, I'm gonna say this dot transform. So that way, new enemy. So this game object. So the game object, new enemy. game object new enemy is going to be an instantiation of a prefab or prefabricated object, uh, and it's going to be transformed to the spawn controller. So what we're going to do, I'm just going to say form dot translate. No, not that. I need my new enemy. And then we're gonna set its parent to null so that it no longer is a parent to the enemy spawner. Now right now the enemy spawner is centered at 0, 0 on our player. So these enemies are gonna spawn directly on top of our player. I want to give them a random position, but right now I want to make sure this is like the event is working as intended. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna scooch this over by 2 and 2. So we should be seeing some enemies up here diagonally to our player. Oh, and it broke already, and this is good. Object is not set to an instance of an object. And it's saying it's breaking in the time tracker, but actually it's because this event is being called. And our enemy spawn controller doesn't actually have anything. And oh, this isn't prefab yet. Okay. Boom. So enemy spawner is going to spawn enemy. Right? It's not set to an instance of an object. I need to I think I need to initialize that variable, and I forgot to do that. Okay, if I get the error again, I'll figure it out, but I definitely did that first part wrong. Okay. Oh, and there's my guys. They're all coming after me. Of course, they're coming from that same spot. Yo, oh wow. They're not actually dying properly. That's weird. So I'm gonna go into my enemy controller before I go any further, since I noticed some weirdness. Oh, you know what? You know what might have been happening too is this might have been getting displayed over the enemy. Let's see, order in layer 0, and well, the ground should be -100 order on the sorting, but I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna give the enemies a 1 just to make damn sure that they're not getting hit under another sprite just to get hit under another sprite, because that would be really silly, right? So let's go back in here. Enemy controller. So take damage. So I need my base battle unit. Base battle unit. Oh, move speed 0. I don't even destroy it. I just changed the move speed to 0 so they stopped moving. Um, I need to do something better than that later, but for testing purposes, I'm just gonna have the object self-destruct. That can cause errors, especially because our player is gonna self-destruct if they die. So this is the very bad design. What I want to do is set their move speed to 0, play an animation, pacify them from being able to deal damage from people. Basically, I could probably disable their collider. There's a lot of things I want to do on death that'll be a little bit more elegant than what we have here. But we're not here to be elegant today. No, sir. We're here to break things and move fast or whatever. Anyways. Oh, he's like, what is. Why are they. Yeah, okay, so. Is the. Am I wrong about the order of the sorting layer? Um, Let me Google that really fast. Unity sort order. Alright, the sorting order decides what priority each game object has in the renderer within each sorting layer. The lower the number you give it, the further back the game object appears, right? Okay, so the higher the number, the closer the game object looks to the camera. So with my ground being negative 100, my enemies should not disappear at all. In fact, I'm gonna just disable that altogether. I only added that just to be there. Let's process of elimination. What is the real problem here? So I've got my guy coming at me. Yeah, he's still like alive, kinda. Okay, so that's interesting. They're not. So let's see. Why is there base dot update space like that? I don't remember doing that. Mr. Fluffy, did you walk on my keyboard? Let's see. Let's see what else could be a problem here. Yeah, if your health is equal to or less than 0, you die. That makes sense to me. Um, that's what's happening. Okay, I figured it out. So when you say just this, it refers to this class. So it's destroying the base battle unit off of that game object, but that game object is still existing. So now we're taking the whole game object, which takes the class, the script that's attached to it, is a child to the game object. So it's gonna when it gets destroyed, it's gonna take everything with it. You know. All right, let's kill this guy. All right. Hey, how about that? Very good. And then, where am I? Oh, and my player just died, and everything broke because they're all attached to it. So now, why are the ones getting spawned? They're not on a weird z-axis thing. I'm gonna look at something here because this is kind of weird. So this enemy that gets cloned, he's right here. Why is he not rendering? Is it his material? Huh. That is that's a new one. Cause he's not like on a weird Z layer. He's just not appearing. Um oh, he's not flipping around like the player does. I wonder if that has something to do with the textures UV and its capacity to flip around. That could absolutely be a problem. So with the enemy, I think I set them to uh, move base or to face the direction of the player, um, which I'm gonna eventually have to do, but I might have to do something through the shader itself. So what I'll probably do is let me open up shader graph here, and I cannot work shader graph in like a small window. It really needs to be its own like thing. Um, so what I have in here already, this is stuff I didn't do on stream, but this is everything you need to like dissolve something in a pixelated way. So if you look, can I make this preview bigger? I'll make this preview really big for you guys. All right, so if you look, here's my sprite, and then we have this dissolve uh, value, and if we go lower, it pixelates away. And so what I want to do is I want to make it eventually where when you die, it does that over time. So there's there's a lot going on there, and to make that kind of pixelization, normally what you'll do is you'll take in the UV, um, which is a graphic thing, and as you know, I'm not very good at graphics, but you take in the UV, you multiply it by a big number, and then you round that so there's no decimal points. You have just discrete values and integers, and then you divide it by that big value again. And what you have is you have these blocks of values. And then I put that into some simple noise that's just generated here, and oh my god, I moved my whole thing. That's not what I wanted to do. Um, I got a point. It's weird because my camera is right here, but I'm working right here. Maybe I should change this setup a little bit. Anyways, some noise right here. This is what I was going to drag as the noise around. Um, and then I bring that into a step function with the dissolve amount, so that way I can. And if you see this white box right here, as we change our dissolve, that goes away too. So what I think I want to do um, is I think I need to flip the x-axis of the UV. So I'm gonna go multiply, and I'm gonna take the default UV into 1, and then I'm gonna go -1 here. Oh god, that could be bad. Oh, put that. Yeah, that doesn't. Yeah, I don't think that's how I do that. I wonder if there's a flip. I think that flips channels. Yeah, that's just gonna flip the color channel. Hmm. Well, let's see. Hmm. You know what? Offset might work. Tiling and offset. And if I go yeah, that's not I wanna mirror it. Actually, that might be a better reflection. Yeah, I might have to look up how to do this correctly. Unfortunately, guys. That's your little preview to shader graph. As you can tell, I'm very bad at it still. I'm gonna go ahead and discard my changes, and then let's end this play here. I'm gonna go in here and see, is it my base battle unit that determines what direction we're facing? Okay, yeah. So there's a face direction, under your transform target. So what I need to do is this face direction here. I'm just gonna comment that out. So we're gonna refine that later because that's causing our guys to be invisible for no reason. Let's bring our tile map back. Let's save here. And let's play and let's see these enemies spawn every second. They should be coming from the upper left-hand corner. The heck? Still invisible. Oh, here's another thing that might have caused the problem. These guys are getting spawned way over to the side. So let's not do that. And now let's see. Did I save? The base update isn't hopefully doing anything, right? Base update's just checking if we died. And now we're finding the player, which find player is calls move at player.transform, and then transform.position move towards the player in your move speed. Should be easy peasy there, right? No reason for us to go invisible. So I'm gonna start this again, and then I'm gonna look at our. I'm gonna pause it and look at our first clone. Okay, he's dangerously close to me. Why is he -1 again? You know what? I know exactly why. The enemy spawner is attached to the player. Player is facing that direction right now, so it's inheriting the direction from the player. That we need to do something about. I think in the past, or when we were doing it earlier, and it was updating what direction it was facing, it didn't really matter. But now that we're kind of like, well, that's not gonna work. I wonder if this works. Let me grab this enemy clone. Flip X. Yeah, okay. So that breaks too. That it's not gonna be the savior that I need. Okay, that does too. I gotta check these things. You know, we gotta experiment sometimes. Gotta play around. So let's go ahead and end this playtest. Hop into here. Our enemy spawn controller. We want to say new enemy dot transform dot. Well, actually, after we break our parent relationship, me dot transform dot local scale. Yeah, vector 3.1 is fine. And what that's going to do is that's going to give you a vector of 1, 1, 1. Perfect for making sure that they're all the right scale. Later on, I might want to make enemies that are just scaled up versions of current enemies, and in which case I'm going to have to add some special exemptions for those guys. Um, but for right now, this is gonna be fine. This is gonna make it work okay. And anyways, let's go ahead and let that go. Let that fire up. And yes, now our enemies are spawning correctly, and they're of course always spawning in that same spot in relation to me instead of a different spot. Oh man, one per second's actually kind of quick. You know, they're uh, they're spawning up good. I think maybe slowing down the enemy, obviously making him spawn further away, right? Um, and in a more random fashion. So let's see. Um, I think we're gonna need on our enemy spawn controller. We're gonna need a like a X and a Y value. Yeah. Um, and those can probably just be local to this. So int x equals random range. Um, let me figure out how many units across uh, the camera is, because this is like 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. So like roughly it's like 18 units one direction and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. This is like an 18 by 10 grid. I think. Well, now hold on. Yeah, I think this could. I think this could work, because what we could do is say, uh, let's actually make this a float or a double, and we're gonna go from it's nine in both directions to make 18, but I want to go one above that, so I'm gonna go from -10 to 10. Um, and then the other one was a lot less than that. It was 5. So let's do 6 to 6. Um, so new enemy dot I think I want to well, let's just do this for right now and then see what happens, because I'm worried that the enemy will spawn in as like a blip and then get moved, um, instead of like doing all this at once. I think on faster machines you probably won't notice, like modern computers you wouldn't notice the difference, but somebody was playing on an absolute toaster and the code was executing slow enough, uh, this could like potentially cause a problem. For right now though, I'm gonna do what any healthy programmer does and ignore my problems until they go away. So we're gonna say new enemy dot transform dot position equals new vector. We are in 3D space, so I'm gonna do vector 3. We're gonna say x, y, and 0. Bada bing, bada boom. And oh yeah, those need to be floats. So I'll change that back to a float. I think normally in game development we use floats anyways. I was just for some reason I was thinking because of the precision of a double it might be nice, but um, maybe I'm just being a silly goose here, you know? Anyways, whoa. Alright, guys are spawning. They're not all spawning on the edge of the screen, but they are spawning in random-ish locations. And you know what I realized is it's spawning them in absolute locations, not the locations that are relative, which means we need to go back and we need to say, all right, that's not necessarily exactly what we wanted. Um, Here's the other thing. I think I want to go. Oh, his move speed's already 1. Maybe we make him a little easier to kill. Um, and half as fast. Now that there's a bunch coming at us, it seems a little unreasonable to keep them so aggressive. Um, I may even slow down the spawn rate, just like on the very first level to make things like easier to like help new players like, oh, this is how I play the game, even though it's not supposed to be an incredibly unintuitive thing. So let's see here. What I want to do is I want to take uh, our current transform dot position dot x and I want to add this x to it, and then I want to go transform dot position dot y, and I want to add that y to it. And then now we are going to take the current position that it should have and move it to another spot. And then hopefully this does the trick. All right. Okay, things are spawning in random places, and they're spawning randomly around me. I think at a future point, some knockback on these hits would be nice. Ah! Yeah, definitely spawning way too close to me. So you know what I think I want to create is like a if one of the values needs to be high or the other one needs to be low. Um, hmm. Or maybe I take a radius, right, and then I use my random points to pretty much say like, here's the I take one random number, right, and I go, we rotate around a circle, and then when we hit whatever degree that is, the thing gets shot out at that point. Yeah, I think that makes the most sense. But that's a lot of math. That's probably more math than I care to sit and struggle through on stream. So, anyways, I'm gonna go ahead and cut the stream right here. It's almost been an hour, so I'm gonna go ahead and head out. I just want to, thank everybody who tunes in, whether it's right now or on my VODs later on. I really, really appreciate you guys. Appreciate all your support. Have a great night.